Valon?
Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's VC Task Force Gary's Picks event for investors and startups. My name is Joel Rosenberg, Director of Business Development and Strategy for VC Task Force. VC Task Force is an organization where the venture community comes together to address critical issues, provide workshops and other events for the benefit of the venture and entrepreneurial communities. VC Task Force provides access to an extensive ecosystem of VCs, CVCs, and angel investors. You may ask questions anytime during the event, and time permitting, they will be answered live after today's interview. It is my pleasure to welcome Gary's Picks host, Gary Fowler. Gary is CEO and co-founder of GSD Venture Studios, an award-winning growth stage AI venture studio. Gary is also co-founder of the award-winning AI startup, Yva.ai, as well as the investment firm DY Investments. Today, Gary will be interviewing special guest, Valon Xhafa, founder and CEO of Behamics, focusing on AI to prevent shopping cart abandonment on e-commerce websites. Behamics provides a novel solution to solving this biggest problem, or biggest challenge in e-commerce, the cart abandonment. Around 70% of carts are abandoned, leading to billions in revenue losses. The mainstream approach to reducing cart abandonment requires providing coupons to customers, which leads to margin erosion. The Behamics approach to prevent cart abandonment applies to artificial intelligence to predict the reason customer would abandon the cart before they do, and displays behavioral messages to help a customer avoid actions or decisions that could lead to cart abandonment. In the past, Valon's previous experience includes working at Google as an AI scientist and in other research centers developing advanced AI approaches and algorithms. Take it away, Gary.
Thanks, Joel. Appreciate it. Valon, it's great to have you here today. For everybody out there, my name is Gary Fowler, and I am the host of Gary's Picks. It is great to be here. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've done 17 startups and 2 unicorns. And it's kind of funny. We call them unicorns, but unicorns are mythical creatures, aren't they, Joel? They don't even exist, but we make them real. So one of my companies that I was involved with on the senior team of was Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and of course, Yva.ai. I'm the CEO, president, and co-founder of GSD Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in Palo Alto, California. Love artificial intelligence and quantum. I've been doing companies for over 30 years, and it's with great pleasure that I welcome Valon here to my show today. So Valon, got a question for you. How in the world did you go to Vienna, Austria?
That was actually the very first time I kind of like went to Vienna, Austria, and I also did my very first research in AI, and I was just 18 years old. And I kind of like, I got this scholarship to do this research. And the research was mainly focused on speech synthesis through AI, so trying to use AI, because back then in the like 2014, 13, AI just started to keep up with speech synthesis, right? So before that, we had like some sort of markup chain and all different technologies, but not like the deep learning as we know right now. And in this research center, I work with top class scientists on these models, and I was just like 18. And
you were 18. So yeah. Valon, did you go to undergraduate or not? Where did you go to undergraduate school? You got your master's degree from Munich, but where did you get your undergraduate degree?
Yeah, I was in Munich too, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Are you originally from Germany, or where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Kosovo, so I'm an Albanian from Kosovo, but then moved to Germany to complete my studies and live and work. And then, start my company. And I found out that I should kind of like move to US to scale it and make it a unicorn. So you
got your degree, your master's degree in Munich. Okay, so let's go forward. So as you're going forward, what did you study? How long did you study at MIT?
So like while I was doing my master's in Munich, I got qualified, or I got an exchange semester at MIT for doing research. I was still from the research part. And I moved a lot around to just like do research, even in between my semesters. I still I took the risk to just do stuff as much as I can do at the same time, because I saw that just just the graduate, like grades and the university is not going to be enough, because like it goes very fast and you really have to maximize time. For that reason, I spend a lot of time just moving around and like doing research and working on research centers, writing publications. So I wrote my first publication or research paper as 18 years old. The research that I did in Vienna, I made my publications, and this helped me a lot to kind of like build this research foundation, which I still have it right now at the company. And at Behamics, I'm trying to kind of like use all the knowledge that I did from these research centers to kind of like push innovation as fast as we can. Like usually to be able to do or take something from research paper to production usually takes a lot of time. In the companies I've worked in the past, it takes like 2-3 months, but at Behamics, it takes like 2 weeks. So for
that's
research paper to production, we have like in 2 weeks, and we try to keep that. And this is really important, a key ingredient of Behamics success, because we're able to kind of like always move forward and develop new stuff.
So, okay, so you're a research assistant in Munich, then you become a Google fellow. What's a fellow?
So Google has this kind of like program that attracts the brightest people in different spaces to kind of like work with Google and develop new stuff. So this is kind of like the fellowship. It's a very special program that Google offers to top people, top researchers. So yeah.
So why wouldn't you stay with Google? It's very interesting because they probably wanted to give you a big fat salary, right? And some options. Why wouldn't you stay with Google and just say, listen, I can make $500,000 a year. I can be happy. I don't have to worry about things. Life is beautiful. I can go to the beach and fly to Florida or to Monaco. Why wouldn't you do that?
I mean, that's actually the very same question my parents asked me. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you quitting your job, right? And not just like quitting your job, but you're quitting your job for a co-founder that you just met last week. Because I met my co-founder in a startup event over the weekend, and we decided to quit our jobs in the very next week. And everybody freaked out, including my friends and parents. Like, you're just quitting Google, well-paid salary for a person that you just met because you want to build your company. Are you like out of your mind? I was like, look, I know what's going on. I like what I'm actually doing. And I really want to kind of like have everything under my control. Even if I fail, it's still going to be my decision, right? If I succeed, it's still going to be my credits. And again, I saw like in all these different research centers and also Google, the process of research and development, it's a slow moving process. Like at research centers, like getting just the data to work with, build models, it takes like 3 months. And let alone like trying to put something in production, which is almost impossible. So if you read the papers like with new models, especially in e-com, rarely you see papers that were able to test results in production, right? And this kind of like struck me hard because this is something that I didn't really want to do, right? I didn't want to have something like that I was working for a year and in the end not being able to test it in production. And this was like a key ingredient.
That's why it's called the ivory tower, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, right. So it's that was kind of like a big deal for me because I'm a fast moving person. Like I really want to take things fast and optimize them. And working with big companies, corporates, it's a slow moving process, And when I met my co-founder, it was kind of like love at the first sight, if you can say that like this, because we're both working in the same problem, but from different perspectives. My co-founder, he was doing his PhD in behavioral science for customer experience. And I was working like on building models to understand the customer experience and the user behavior. So yeah, and that's why we decided to quit our jobs and undertake this new journey.
So tell us a little bit about the journey. So what's it been like? So in 2019, you went down through and started that journey. But what's it been like from the beginning in January 2019 to today? What's it been like? How did you form your company and what were the biggest challenges you had and what were the biggest opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, the process has been like as every like process building company, it's like ups and downs on every day. Some day you feel like this is not going to work. And the other day you feel like, well, this is going to go so high. It's going to be a unicorn or a unicorn. So that's a process, but you get used to this process. And the good part was that, again, there was a huge match and fit between the co-founders, which is really important. because one of the main reasons why startups fail is because there is no fit between founders, and this wasn't the case with us. So we had a very probably one of the best communications I've had with somebody, with my co-founder. We understood each other, and we're still like complementing each other, which kind of like helped us a lot. And then the only challenge was to just kind of like build the whole product and trying to disrupt the market, because again, we were kind of like tackling the market, a very competitive market from a different angle, because the market is flooded with different solutions and different providers. But we were saying like, look, we have a radical solution here, something that doesn't exist in the market, and we should go to the market and push it with a brute force and kind of like take the market in. So it has been a great journey, and the greatest part is that when you love the business you're building, the company you're building, it just becomes part of your life, or it becomes kind of like half of your life, because it represents so much of your life, and it just like describes everything you do on a daily basis, and every achievement you have, it's related to your business. So far has been a great journey, and it's just getting better actually.
No, it's great. And so did you go to NRF this year?
I went to NRF this year. Yeah, that was like 2 weeks ago.
How did you find NRF? By the way, for my audience out there, National Retail Federation, and it's one of the largest conferences in the world around interesting technologies for retail. How was it? And did you get a chance to get a booth, or did you just walk around?
I just walked around because I already had like some meetings set up before the conference. That's what I usually do. So I try to plan beforehand and set up meetings with brands and vendors. And I really liked it. It was a slow show because there were very few people due to Omicron and all these different variants of COVID. But still, I had the chance to meet a lot of vendors, a lot of technology companies, where I also, this is also really important for us, because one of the main ways we want to go is like do partnerships with big platforms, especially headless providers, so that we can scale. And I had the chance to meet some of the biggest ones in the market. The other thing that I liked a lot was that I had the chance to see a lot of products, but I didn't really see a product that was like closely related to Behamics. We just proved the concept and the novel approach that Behamics is taking. And not only at NRF, but I've been probably like 10 different conferences in the last half a year, and I have not seen a product like Behamics or a concept that is going towards that what we're doing, which is a great validation of the concept, but also it also shows that there is a huge gap in the market.
So tell us about revenue. Do you have any revenue today? When do you think you're going to have revenue, and what's the future look like?
We do have revenue because the product was working great, and we did have 0 churn rate since we started onboarding customers, because the customers, they like the product because it's like an automatic product. It's not that they have to use it or modify something. You know, it's not a tool. It's not a tool. It's like an engine. It runs automatically. We were able to work fast, make profit, and also be cash positive, which is something that we're scaling right now. And this gives us a lot of flexibility to kind of like plan everything ahead before we go and raise our next round. So yeah, that's kind of like where we are right now, like making profit and scaling, and also preparing for the next round of investment.
And what are you looking for your next round? How much you're looking to raise?
We're looking to raise a 7-figure. It's going to be probably like more than a seed round and around Series A round. So yeah, that's kind of like what we're planning to raise. And the exact number will be clarified very soon, because we're just about to close some very big partnerships with some platforms where we'll be able to kind of like access hundreds of accounts at once. And this is going to change the whole momentum of Behamics, and we'll just like exponentially scale Behamics. And that's why it's really important that we have the new projections coming in, and then we go and raise the round with exact numbers.
No, that's great. Phenomenal. And so if you look at it, where do you see the greatest opportunities right now?
In terms of scaling, or in terms of
potential customers, where do you see the potential customers? The US, North America, Europe, China, where do you see the potential customers today?
The very big deal of Behamics is that Behamics is scaling very fast into the market, like in Europe. We start in Europe, but now also in the States, we're just like growing very fast. And we're like in contact and negotiation with one of the biggest brands in the States. This is something that you don't usually see with other brands, and this is a good thing for Behamics because, again, the market is very slow moving. That's why it's also like old school still, because it moves very slow, and you still see technologies for like 20 years old or something in still in use. And for that reason, it's really important that we kind of like scale in both markets. So yeah, the US market is going to be especially important for us to go to higher stages of the company and potentially be able to scale very fast, especially with these partnerships, right? Because in Europe, it's not that you have very big platforms aggregating a lot of brands, where you can partner up with them. But in the States, that's the place to be for these partnerships. And these help you to kind of like go from Series A to Series B and C and follow our, yeah.
Are you going to stay in New York, or where are you going to keep your company? Is it going to be home based there, or are you going to move to California?
I had a lot of people asking me about California, especially San Francisco. There is like a disadvantage for me, like moving to California, because some of my team is still in Europe, and that would be like 9 hours difference for us. So that would kind of like slow the process. So for the next couple of years, I will be staying in New York, and because that's like a kind of like a middle ground in between two of the greatest markets, like Europe and US, where we're scaling right now. And the time difference is not that huge, but also like the flying time is not a big of a deal when you're like in between. But if you move to California, that's kind of like a very far stretch for the whole company at this stage.
Do you like the snow, Valon?
I do like the snow. I do like the snow. I'm used with the snow. So I grew up in a place where the seasons are equal. So you have like 3 months of summer, 3 spring, and everything is equal. So I got the chance to taste every season at max. So yeah, that's kind of like what I'm seeing here in New York. But yeah, so it's kind of like a good fit, I think.
That's great. That's been phenomenal. And in terms of the future, what do you see? I mean, are you looking for a company to acquire you, or are you looking to do an IPO? What are you looking to do? What's the future look like?
Well, I mean, the best case scenario is kind of like go with the IPO. That would be like the best case scenario. Depending like whether we're gonna be acquired or do like an exit, this kind of like depends on the later stage of the company and the process and the momentum. As we have the momentum right now, and after we kind of also raise the next round, this is going kind of like to go big. But again, this completely depends on later stages and how fast that can go and how fast that can grow. But again, the key ingredient of Behamics is that we're kind of like focused on AI development and scaling this, what we have before. Because usually what you see in the market is that a company builds a product and they just focus completely on sales, which I think it's not the right thing to do, especially when you have some cutting edge tech. You need to kind of like fully develop it and be very competitive, because competitors will be there, right? They will be after us, especially when we start to make more noise and brands get to know us. So there will be a lot of companies trying to copy us. And for that reason, keeping up with the research is really important. And we see a huge space where AI could really disrupt the way we shop online, right? Not just like prevent car abandonments and all this different stuff, but like if you see back, like the online shopping experience you have right now, it's more or less the same that you had like 10 years ago, like the same shopping layout, the same structure, nothing basically changed, right, from the customer experience. Even if you have like,
No, you're right about it. I mean, it hasn't changed. But remember, customer development is really important. Make sure that the customers want to buy what you're developing. And sometimes people get into this circle where they start developing things and nobody wants to buy it, but they think it's the coolest thing in the world, right? Make sure you're continually evolving and testing it and iterating, because if you do that, the probability of failing is a lot less. So that's fantastic. And how many people on your team today?
In our team, there are like 15 people right now. And now we're about to hire more people because, again, we're scaling. And this is also related to the last statement. For us now, it's really important to also scale from the sales perspective, marketing, customer success managers, and all stuff, right? So we definitely see that we can scale in the sales part. But again, also like trying to keep innovation going and flowing. So yeah.
And how much hand-ons do you have with the development of the technology? How hands are you today with it?
So the greatest part of being a founder, especially like a tech founder who also deals with the business side and sales and partnership, is that you got the chance to taste every bit of the product, everything within a day, right? So I started my morning today with calls with the developers and talking about research and all the stuff, right? I continued with some investor calls. I have some client meetings later on. I have some partnership meetings later on. So, you start with development and tech, but you end up with a call, I don't know, with an investor or a partner at 6 p.m. in the evening, right? So, and this is what I like the most as a founder, because you really learn a lot of things in the process. And that's what's kind of like beautiful about this whole journey.
No, that's great. That's phenomenal. And the kind of customers, who are you looking for? What are they? Are they retailers like companies like Walmart or Target, or are they smaller? Or are they Victoria's Secret? Or are they, what do they look like? What kind of companies are you looking at right now? And who's the most interested?
Yeah, at this stage, we're kind of like targeting mid-size and like brands, like fashion retailers, like grocery stores, and all these big platforms. Again, it can also be like mid-size, but that's kind of like the target right now. But we do plan also to scale on other verticals, like also cover smaller accounts or brands in the future. But for the time being, we're focusing completely on mid-size and enterprise level. Yeah.
No, that's it. And any type of particular retailer, specialty retailer, what kind of retailer are you looking at? Is it, or doesn't it matter?
It doesn't really matter, and that's the beauty of Behamics, because we use AI, this can adapt very fast, and then we can kind of like adjust, because every single store, even if you're talking like about, let's say, fashion apparel, it changes from one store to another store, right? Things change, it's different customer journey, customer patterns, behavior. So for that reason, we use AI, and we build AI so that the AI can understand the patterns and then be able to adjust and give the best results for that specific brands. So yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And if you look at it, what about the consulting firms, the Ernst & Young? How do you do? Are you partnering with those kind of firms to help you really get the PwC to get the word out, or how do you work with them? Or Josh Versions, how do you work with these retail customers like that?
We do work with, one of the ways we would go to the market is like partnering out with agencies, like consultancy agencies. And yeah, they kind of like refer us to their existing customers and brands as a new solution. Actually, a huge portion of the brands or accounts come from these different partnerships. For example, McKinsey brought one of our biggest customers. So yeah, these partnerships are really important, and we are really open to these partnerships from different consulting agencies and corporates. And so yeah.
That's great. Phenomenal. So we're coming up to the end of the show. So closing thoughts, what do you see over the next 5 years in terms of retail technology, and especially AI as an application, and how do people get a hold of you?
Retail in the next, seeing like how things have changed in different things. Like again, we're just about to have like autonomous driving, working in a good accuracy and working the best optimal way. We see like AI disrupting every different fields, like speech and cases, like different ways. So the way I see e-commerce in the next 5 years is like AI is going to change the way we shop online. So don't be surprised if the online shopping experience that you see right now is going to be completely different in 5 years, because it's really the right time. And so far it hasn't been done because again, we were kind of focused on different methods, but now AI should really come in, step in and change the way we shop online. So don't be surprised if you don't really see the layout and the UI experience and the online shopping experience that you see now in 2-3 years. So that's going to change very fast. And we believe that also Behamics is going to play a key role here, because again, we see based on the data and the research we have right now and that we're testing, we see that there is a huge gap. And this gap strangely hasn't been filled by other solutions or competitors or brands. So yeah.
Interesting. And how do people get a hold of you, Valon?
They can basically reach out to our landing page like behamics.com, or contact me directly, or meet us at conferences. So yeah, but the best way to reach out is just like contact me directly on my contact, like email address or phone number, or even go to our landing page like website behamics.com and just request a demo or fill out the contact form. So yeah.
That sounds great. Well, Valon, I want to tell you, thank you for taking time your busy schedule to be on my show. I'd like to thank the entire VC Task Force team, June, Joel, and the entire team for making it possible for one more edition of Gary's Picks on VC Task Force. Take it away, Joel.
All right. Well, thank you, Valon. Gary, another excellent and very timely interview. This is great. This is exactly what our audience is looking for, this type of information. Obviously, the consumer space is very hot right now, and the problem that you're addressing, Valon, appeals to a very broad audience. So it's terrific. I applaud you for that. I want to thank everybody again, and we'll see you back in 2 weeks for the next Gary's Picks event. And until then, everybody stay safe, stay well, and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Take care. Thanks, Valon. Thanks, Joel. Thanks, June.